Modern front-end needs old web discipline. Modern front-end is powerful, but sometimes I feel we forgot something very important. We moved forward with tools, frameworks, build systems, components, state management, server-side rendering, design systems, and AI-generated code. But while moving forward, many developers forgot the discipline that old web development used to teach. And this is not about saying the old web was better. It was not. The old web had problems. CSS was messy. Layouts were painful. Browser issues were common. Responsive design was not always easy. JavaScript was not as mature as today, and many websites were difficult to maintain. But still, the old web taught us something very important. It taught us discipline. Around 2014, building websites felt very different. Most websites were not treated like full applications. You worked with HTML for structure, CSS for layout, JavaScript for small interactions. jQuery was common for DOM manipulation, and many projects were connected with backend systems like PHP or Laravel. Front-end developers often had to work closely with designers, SEO teams, marketing teams, and back-end developers. You were not only building components, you were building pages. And because you were building pages, you had to understand the browser. You had to understand how HTML worked. You had to understand how CSS affected layout. You had to understand how the page loaded. You had to understand why one image was slowing down the page. You had to understand why a form was not submitting. You had to understand why a layout was breaking in one browser. You had to understand why SEO people cared about headings, links, content, and page structure. It was not always clean, but it forced you to stay close to the platform. That was the discipline. You could not hide everything behind abstraction. You had to know what the browser was doing. Then, modern front-end changed everything. And to be clear, modern front-end solved real problems. Components helped us organize UI. State management helped us handle complex interactions. Build tools helped us bundle, optimize, and scale projects. Single-page applications created smoother app-like experiences. Server-side rendering came back in a modern way. Meta frameworks helped with routing, rendering, caching, and developer experience. Design systems helped teams build consistent interfaces. Modern front-end made large applications easier to build. It helped teams move faster. It gave structure to complex products. For dashboards, SaaS platforms, media apps, e-commerce flows, admin panels, and real-time interfaces, modern front-end is extremely useful. So modern front-end was not a mistake. It was progress. But progress also created a new problem. Many developers started learning tools before learning the platform. They learned components before understanding HTML. They learned utility classes before understanding CSS. They learned state libraries before understanding browser events. They learned routing before understanding navigation. They learned hydration before understanding page loading. They learned how to build apps before understanding how pages work. And that is where the gap started. A simple page became a full application. A basic menu became state logic. A form became multiple dependencies. A button became an abstraction. A content page shipped too much JavaScript. A website became heavier than the actual problem it was solving. The user did not ask for all that complexity. The user only wanted the page to open. The user wanted the content to be readable. The user wanted the button to work. The user wanted the form to submit. The user wanted the video to play. The user wanted the checkout to complete. But sometimes developers ship complexity and call it architecture. The developer feels productive. The user feels delay. This is why old web discipline is becoming mandatory again. Not because we should go backward, but because the foundation matters more than ever. Today, performance matters. SEO matters. Accessibility matters. Core web vitals matter. Mobile devices matter. Low-end devices matter. Slow networks matter. TV browsers matter. Payment flows matter. Video playback matters. Real users matter. And real users do not care which technology we used. They care whether the experience works. A modern front-end developer should know modern tools, but a strong front-end developer should also know when those tools are unnecessary. Sometimes HTML is enough. Sometimes CSS is enough. Sometimes a server-rendered page is better. Sometimes a static page is better. Sometimes a small JavaScript function is better than a full client-side flow. Sometimes the best optimization is removing JavaScript. Sometimes the best architecture is simplicity. This is not anti-modern front-end. This is not anti-framework. This is not old versus new. This is about balance. Because the future of front-end does not belong to developers who only know tools. It belongs to developers who understand trade-offs. When to use client-side rendering, when to use server-side rendering, when to keep things static, when to add interactivity, when to avoid interactivity, when to use state, when to remove state, when to abstract, when to keep it simple. That is senior front-end thinking. Old web discipline teaches you to respect the browser. Modern front-end gives you the power to build complex products. The real skill is combining both, modern tools with old discipline. That is what the web needs now. Because AI can generate components, AI can create layouts, AI can write boilerplate, AI can build screens. But real front-end engineering is not only screen creation. It is understanding the user, understanding the browser, understanding performance, understanding accessibility, understanding SEO, understanding devices, understanding networks, understanding product flows, understanding what should be built and what should not be built. That last part is important. Sometimes good engineering is not adding more. Good engineering is knowing what not to add. And maybe that is the discipline modern front-end needs again. The old web was not perfect, but it forced us to understand the foundation. And in a world where websites are getting heavier, tools are getting more abstract, and AI is generating more code, that foundation is not optional anymore. It is mandatory. Hey Devitect, the browser is not just a runtime for our tools, the browser is the platform. And good front-end engineering starts by respecting that platform. Modern tools, old discipline, better web. Let's dive deep. Master the craft and build like true DevGitects.